It's hard to believe that here we are a couple hours after lunch on Black Friday and I have not bought a single book yet. But let's talk about this week. Hey, what's up, bookworms? I hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving, if that is something you celebrate. If not, I hope you're having a great weekend. So Mike here, going to give a little weekly update like usual, and it's going to have a couple of things I think might surprise some people on it. But let's go ahead and get into it, guys. As always, what am I reading? I think you guys know, just like a lot of other people, although I feel like most people have kind of finished Rhythm of War by now. I said I was going to take my time with it. I feel like anytime you have a criticism of a Brandon Sanderson book, it almost feels like it's safer to come out as like a global terrorist than it is to actually have a criticism of a Brandon Sanderson book. But you guys know me. I'm never going to bullshit you on this channel. Like I said, I do have some criticisms, and they have not went over well. But look, when I have an opinion on something that's different than yours, it doesn't invalidate your opinion. But for me, yes, part 3 of this book was very, very tough for me to get through. Very much so like part 4 of Oathbringer. And you know what? I loved Oathbringer, so I'm not giving a final judgment on this book. I was just saying that, one section of it really was a struggle for me, so much so that I started balancing it with Kings of the Wild by Nick Lazim. So that's kind of what I've been reading right now. I'm about, halfway through part 4 right now. As my guy Jim Ross used to say, business is picking up. So things are getting much better. I'm not wild about the Singers and Eshonai and Vinley or any of the super scientific stuff that Navani's doing right now. But again, I'll get into that when I do my spoiler talk when I get there. As far as Kings of the Wild goes, that's great. I felt like that was a really good idea. While I was kind of slogging through that part 3 of Rhythm of War that I'm just kind of okay on, I felt like that was something good to kind of take the edge off, and it is very much seeming like it was a good pick, because much like Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I find myself just chuckling out loud after every couple of paragraphs. So it's a good time. I've had a lot of people asking, hey, what's the lore like? And it's very, very light, guys. The world building on this is not that kind of fantasy novel. This is just what I would call an absolutely perfect palate cleanser for something as epic as Rhythm of War. I really feel like this is something that you could get through and have a great time with and just kind of have fun with. It really is just a fun book. I don't know what the way to put it. It's something that I never really understood all the way that people had described it to me until I got to it now, and now I see it. And it's I'm about 25% into it or something like that, but it's fun. I'm having a great time with it, and as soon as I finish Rhythm of War here, I'm going to kind of blow through that before we get into what I'm going to read. Let's talk about what I'm going to read. Obviously, I'll be finishing Kings of the Wild immediately, and then I'm going to start The Talisman by Stephen King. This was a unique one because it's a Stephen King book I've never read. I do my Into the Multiverse. Most of them are rereads or just something I felt like I read, not long ago, and I can just go ahead and talk about it. It's not a big deal. But with the Talisman, this is one I skipped the first time around. I've talked about that at length before, so you can find that on the channel if you want to find out why I skipped it. But there's a lot of bets going on, it seems like right now, on the Discord server about if I'm going to like it or not, because I don't really know why. It seems to me like if you guys have watched the channel and you know how I feel about Stephen King, yeah, he's not a perfect author, and yes, there have been books of his I've kind of said, yeah, it's kind of a letdown. So I don't think it's one of those things where it's an automatic, yeah, for me. But the thing is it's a Stephen King coming of age story, and I feel like that's his forte. So I say the chances are good that those who bet that I'm going to like it are going to be the ones, walking away with that pat on the back. Because as far as I know, there's no money exchanging hands. But that will be after that, and then kind of the last palate cleanser of the year, we'll be picking up Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. Here's the thing with me. I really, really enjoyed Ready Player 1. I don't think anybody that's a Generation Xer like myself didn't enjoy Ready Player 1 because we were definitely the target audience for there. Not that someone that wasn't Gen X couldn't enjoy it, because I know a lot of people enjoyed it that weren't, children of the 80s. But I had a great time with it. I did not like Armada when I read it. I actually gave it a DNF, and I don't do that very often, guys. So with me, this is kind of the rubber match with deciding if I'm going to continue reading Ernest Cline or not. I was afraid this was just going to be a cash grab because Armada didn't do well. And he said, well, shoot, I need to go back to the well. So I'm still kind of concerned about that. But the early indications I've heard is, hey, if you like book one, you're probably going to like this one too. So I'm hoping so. I'm kind of thinking that would be very much the perfect way to cleanse all these two heavy reads with Rhythm of War and the Talisman, and then kind of start to clear the decks officially for Malazan to begin in just over a month, you guys. But let's go ahead and talk about this week on the channel. I did continue the Rhythm of War coverage with my spoiler talk for Part 2. I had interesting feedback, some that really love them, some that say that this is a stupid idea, that I should not be doing this, that apparently people only watch my channel for non-spoiler reviews and to know if they want to read a book or not. Well, look, guys, if you're up to Part 4 of a series as thick as Stormlight and you need me to tell you if you need to keep going or not, you're probably not liking the series enough. So yeah, I would only do something like this for something I feel like is a series that everyone was going to be reading anyway. And if not, you know what? Those videos will always be there for you to go back to if you read it later. So again, it doesn't hurt my feelings any if you don't want to watch it. That's just what I would recommend. If you don't want to hear spoiler talk, don't watch it. That's really all I can say. I've had enough people on the channel say they wanted me to do that. So that's why I'm going to continue that. When Fright Fest kind of creeped up on me and I ran out of time in September, I didn't finish doing my different seasons reviews, the 4 stories in the novella collection by Stephen King. And the breathing method was the one that kind of got left out, which is kind of funny because it's almost like the ugly duckling of that book because it's the only one who hasn't had like a big movie. Well, I went ahead and made up for that, and I went ahead and went back into the multiverse to talk about that book. So I got that one up this week as well. Again, like I said, it seems to be like one of the least known Stephen King stories. But again, with Into the Multiverse series, I want to be a completionist, and I wanted to talk about that book because I do think it's worth reading. Yeah, it's my least favorite in that collection, but it's still very, very good. Again, during King's hot streak, 74-86, you're not going to hear me say too many negative things. But yeah, that's one that I think that is very misunderstood. And for, I think, a lot of Stormlight fans that really appreciate the mental illness aspect of that story, I think that you'd actually find something you'd like in Breathing Method there. Then kind of the big one this week, if you want to say it was a big one, had the most views, I talked about why I gave up on Brett Weeks. And every time you do a video like this, it's going to kind of be received differently. People who agree with you are going to think it's great. People who disagree with you are going to thumbs down it and tell you that you're a jerk in the comments. Again, I always think that that's the way you do it right. I mean, even though I specify at the very beginning of the video, this is my opinion. This is not a rant. This is not me telling you not to read it. This is not telling me that if you liked it, you're wrong. It's just how I felt about it. But of course, in the era of agree with me or else, I got a lot of negativity, but mostly positive things about it. Again, it was just me talking about why I think after DNFing 2 of his series now, Lightbringer and Night Angel, I don't think I can trust Brett Weeks with his next series until it's done and I hear that he didn't try to M. Night Shyamalan the ending and try to get some kind of twist in there just because, or try to redeem an irredeemable character. So it really, with me, it was like I thought I was very complimentary. Actually, I said that the man is a very talented writer. Again, I'm just a dude with Wi-Fi, so why does my opinion count? But it's just how I felt, and felt very disappointed with the direction that Lightbringer went. So I think his best stories are still waiting to be told. I think he has the talent in him. If he just sticks to his plan, I think he'll probably hit a home run eventually. But for right now, he's got to earn my trust back. That's kind of where I'm sitting at. But again, that was just kind of one of those, I didn't even know if I was going to make that video, but I decided, hey, you know what? The kids are being quiet for 5 seconds. Why don't I go ahead and do it? But yeah, lots of interesting feedback in that one. In fact, I even got told I have a bad attitude, which is crazy. Let's go ahead and talk about some next week plans. I am going to continue my spoiler talk for Rhythm of War. I've already recorded part 3, like I said, before I started part 4. Just haven't gotten around to posting it yet. Meant to do that today, but Thanksgiving week, guys, the kids are home. It just kind of fell between the cracks. So I'll get that up probably this weekend and then get part 4s out there sometime next week. Then the week after that, I'll probably be looking at the spoiler talk for part 5 and the overall standard review for Rhythm of War. I imagine I'll probably finish sometime this weekend or Monday or Tuesday or something like that. With the kids home, I'm lucky to get in 4 or 5 chapters a day. So that'll come about 2 weeks to read a book that big. I'm not gonna stress about it. Like I said, I know almost everybody else is done, but just don't want to neglect my kids. Just trying not to be a worthless father. I'll also be wrapping up my Great Coats, the read along on the channel. I think just about everybody's done now. But I'll be wrapping up that with the review of Tyrant's Throne. That's the last book in the Great Coats. Had a really good time with it, so that'll give you a kind of tip your hand of where I'm going with that review. But I can't recommend the series enough. I think it was very enjoyable. I felt like it was mixed to positive on the Discord. Most people seem to like it. They had a lot of gripes. I had a lot of gripes. You can watch those reviews and find out what some of the things were. But as far as just, it's not going to be a big time wear on you. You just want like a quick, fun little series to read. I don't think that, we read one of these a month, and I feel like you could have probably read them all in a month. That really are easy to read. They start to get a little thicker as the series goes along, but again, very easy to read. Never felt like it was seriously bogged down with anything. So I'm going to recommend the series to you, but I'll get into that more when I do that review. I'll probably also be doing my November wrap-up, obviously, and if I don't run out of time, I want to talk about Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. It's the one that I kind of read about a month ago, and I just haven't gotten around to being able to talk about it yet. And I want to be able to talk about it because I thought it was a very, very good book. And in fact, we haven't actually nailed anything down, but I think Mr. Rocky was going to come on the channel and talk with me about the series. But I want to make sure that it's in a non-spoilery way, because I think I'd like a lot of people to check this series out. I'm going to be resuming the series sometime next year in between Malazan books, so looking forward to that. But I definitely want to review that first book, because I think there's a lot there that readers of this channel, especially readers that like Dune, readers that like Red Rising. I don't see the Name of the Wind as much, but maybe that's just because of my bias against Name of the Wind. But I have seen some people say that. What I said was like, imagine Red Rising being written by Patrick Rothfuss back when he wrote. That's why I kind of put it as, because I feel like he's very, very much a very talented wordsmith, and his writing is absolutely beautiful, but it definitely feels a little more Red Rising to me than Dune. So that's kind of where, and those are good things, guys. You guys know how much I love Red Rising. So I'll get into that more sometime next week. There are a couple of non-book things I want to talk about here. First, for TV and movie talk, I want to talk about The Mandalorian. Don't worry, it's no spoilers. In fact, I had it spoiled for me this morning. We watched it on Friday nights as a family. So we kind of kept that going. But if you ever people on social media, or if you surf the internet at all, they not only had to have giant pictures of what happened in the episode, they have to have it in their titles. So basically, if you opened up your Google News, you see something in your entertainment tab, it just has a picture there and title, and it's like, wow, great, thanks. I'm glad I guess I need to get up immediately on Friday mornings and watch this. But again, it's your own fault. If you get spoiled, I say, on stuff like that, it's your own fault. Don't use the internet. No one's making you. But what I want to kind of talk about is the hype versus the criticism for this show. I'm perfectly fine if you don't like the show. I'm perfectly fine if you love it. Never, again, guys, always it's opinion here. I'm enjoying the show. I don't think it's either as great as some people say, and I don't think it's as bad as some others say. I'm having a good time with it. It's easily the most fun I'm having with Star Wars post the Disney acquisition. But here's what I don't get, is it seems like every Friday you can kind of gauge the response. Friday, that was an awesome episode. By Sunday, here's all the Easter eggs and the connections with other Star Wars stuff. It's so fun. By Tuesday, it's like, there was a lot of problems with that episode, and here's why. By Thursday, it's, if this show doesn't quit with the freaking video game fetch quest plot, I'm out. And then by Friday, it's, that episode was amazing, right? So I feel like it's just that era that we live in, where everyone can find a way to talk themselves out of liking something, and I don't really get that. Again, however you feel about the show, that's perfectly fine, man. I'm enjoying it for what it is. Yeah, there's some things I don't like about it. I don't like the X-Files-ish Monster of the Week kind of thing, the Planet of the Week. I wish it had more of a steady arc, but I do like that they're not afraid to embrace the original Star Wars. They're not behind me anymore. I had to move those, by the way. I'll show that in my next book haul, how I got a new bookshelf. But I'm used to pointing there when I talk about the Star Wars EU. I'm glad that they're embracing the original Star Wars EU. Again, they're not really afraid of it. Jon Favreau realized, being one of the first people to come out with the new Lucasfilm and say, fans aren't the enemy. The original fans aren't the enemy. I don't know why we're treating them like the enemy. And that just gave me all the respect in the world for him, and I want Favreau and Filoni to keep riding this thing. I like what they've done so far, but again, I haven't watched Episode 5, even though it's been ruined the hell out of it for me at this point. But again, no one to blame but myself there. How are you feeling about Mandalorian? As far as what we're watching, we are through Season 3 of The Shield now. Talked about that last week. It's a show I think has aged amazingly well. I haven't watched it since it was first airing on FX back in the early 2000s, so this rewatch is kind of fresh for me. I remember bits and pieces because it's my favorite cop show of all time, but I'm stunned at how good it still really is. It's just such a unique show, especially just because of the way that it's shot by Sean Ryan. I love the way it really almost looks like a dramatized version of Cops, the TV show. So it's something, again, guys, I can't recommend it enough if you haven't watched it, if you can't get your hands on it. It is on Hulu. The entire series is on Hulu. And here's the thing, say, I don't want to buy another streaming service. I just got Hulu again. Do you know why? Because for a couple more days, look, today is Black Friday, November the 27th. So I don't know how long this is going to go after you watch this, but for a couple of days, every year on Black Friday, Hulu will have a sale where you can get the ads version, which, again, it's worth the $2 a month. But for $2 a month for a year, you can get Hulu. We went ahead and did that because my kid loves to watch Teen Titans, and Teen Titans Go is on there. So that's why we went ahead and did it for all the kid content. But again, it's got all the series that Disney now owns, like The Shield, like Sons of Anarchy, Justified, all the stuff on FX. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, The X-Files, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is all stuff that Disney owns now, but they don't have the guts to put it on Disney Plus. I think it's worth it for that alone. All the FX series, which I think is the most underrated cable network out there. And, Buffy, like I said, X-Files, all this series, if you haven't watched, now is the time to do it because they are just completely bingeable shows. You can do that with FX. They got complete series on there. And $2 a month, you know what? Having 90-second ads 2 or 3 times during an hour episode, I think that's worth it for $2 a month to watch some of these series if you haven't yet. So hit that up if you can. Do want to talk about a couple of gaming things real fast before I go. First, Cyberpunk. Yes, this is like your weekly Cyberpunk 2077 update. It looks like it's still coming, December 10th. I know there was some concerns that it was going to get delayed again, but they put out like this 6-minute gameplay trailer, which really just showed you everything that you can do in this game. And what I'm hearing is that like the main storyline of the game is about 50 hours worth of gameplay. But it's like a Mass Effect in that decisions that you make can give you a different story each time. So the replay value is going to be high. But here's the thing. If you do all the side stuff, like if you're like me and you're a Skyrim or a Fallout kind of person, and you do every side quest, like I think I still haven't finished Witcher 3 because I can't stop doing side stuff, you could sink about 200 hours into this game. So fingers crossed, guys. I really want this to be good. They only have that gameplay trailer out, but they actually have one now on their official YouTube page where you can actually watch someone just play it for like 10 to 15 minutes. And it looks really cool. I'm very, very hopeful, man. I'm really, really cautious optimism because I kept saying I felt like it was gonna be there's no way it can meet these expectations, and I don't know. It looks really good. So we are just 2 weeks away now. So yeah, excitement. There's another game coming out next week on December the 3rd. It's called Immortals Phoenix Rising. Now, this game was originally called Gods and Monsters for like the first 95% of its development phase. This is a game made by Ubisoft. What I love about it is it looks exactly like a straight ripoff of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is one of my favorite games of the generation. Me and my wife basically put the kids to sleep every night at 7 o'clock because they were younger when this came out, and then we would play until like 1 a.m. every night on work nights. That's how addicted we got to Breath of the Wild. And here's the thing. I don't mind a ripoff if it's a good ripoff. Like I think back when Silent Hill came off and it was, it's just a Resident Evil ripoff. Yeah, but it was a good ripoff, wasn't it? And in some ways it was better. I don't think this will probably be better than Breath of the Wild, but it's Ubisoft, and I know people have hot takes about Ubisoft, regardless of how you feel about Ubisoft. I think it looks really cool. It's made by a team that has worked on Assassin's Creed before. So it's just Greek mythology meets Breath of the Wild. Yeah, sign me up. I'm very interested to catch reviews of this when it comes out, because I think that's the one that I would kind of be interested in, even though I haven't even gotten to Assassin's Creed Valhalla yet. And here's the thing. I'm not going to play either of these before Cyberpunk 2077, because, I mean, that's a game that's got to cut straight to the front of the line, right? So I'm going to continue my Horizon Zero Dawn kind of replay until Cyberpunk drops. But that's it for this week, guys. Have you done anything special? Anything you're reading, watching, listening to, playing? Hit me in the comments, guys. Let me know. And have yourself a very safe and happy weekend.